How you doing, my friends? It's Bill McDonald, the reading and writing doctor. And today we're going to talk a little bit about short answer. Whenever you have a question that's going to be short answer, it can be a short answer. It's going to be preceded by the word prompt. And prompt is going to mean that the purpose, P of prompt, of the response, the R, will normally be O, open-ended, not multiple choice. Okay, so what we need in a short answer is the answer and the evidence. Because if I have the answer to the question, the topic, and I have the evidence, then 1 plus 1, answer and evidence, is going to equal 2. So I'm going to use one of my examples for you, and it'll be inside the PDF that I'll send to all of you who are in the CREST online trainings. You should have received this as an email by the time you see this. So let me kind of show you through my advanced folder a reminder of what short answer is supposed to look like. Short answer, remember that there's going to be a question. It'll have the word prompt in it, meaning that it's going to be open-ended and it'll be about a specific topic. And so the red light is, what is the question? The other red light is, what is the answer? But what you have to be careful about is, as soon as you know the question, then you need to proceed with caution, yellow, over to the selection, because the only way you can answer a question about a topic in a passage is actually to read the topic. And so the how to get a 2A is the where. Where can I go? Well, they actually tell us where to go in the question we're going to look at, and then the evidence. So if you think of M&Ms, the red light is the what is the question and what is my answer. But red light, stop. Before you give me the answer, it's better that you take the yellow light and say, where do I need to go? And what is the evidence that I'm going to use to support that? And the cool thing about M&Ms, whether you get the plain, the peanut butter, or the regular chocolate, they all have the different colors that I like to use: yellow, blue, green, red, purple, orange. Same as the monkeys that many of you have in the training. So uh, keep that in mind. Once you have the evidence and you can highlight the evidence, then we'll use that evidence to decide what the answer to the question is. And that can get your students a 2. So when we look at the question, first here on paper, the R is to read the question carefully and to show that you understand the question. You're going to label by highlighting certain things. And if you're doing it on paper, then you can do underlining and you can mark the test a certain way. And then you'll start looking for evidence, and you'll use the examples of the evidence that best support the answer. Now, I don't know if you can tell over here in the corner of the screen, but I intentionally wore a shirt with some yellow on it today because the entire story that we're going to read is full of evidence. Evidence is basically text. Okay. So the question is a what question: who, what, when, where, why, which, how. What do paragraphs 8 through 11? And when I was at my last school, they thought it said 8 and 11. So if they only look at 8 and 11, then you're not going to be able to use all of the evidence that's relevant and related to the question. So make sure your kids know that 8-11 means 8, 9, 10, and 11. Really reveal about the personalities, plural, of Jonathan's friends. So if your students misunderstand the question, they're going to look at Jonathan's personality and they'll get the answer wrong because the evidence will be based on Jonathan. Since we're asking about Jonathan's friends, that's what we're going to focus on, Jonathan's friends. Then support your answer with evidence from paragraphs 8 through 11. Short answer and evidence equals 2 points. So all of the teachers and students that are doing my trainings now, one of the first pages inside their binder or their folder, ask them to be able to analyze the characters. And so there's this whole cool page of character analysis, figure out which person's which. You could color code to separate them, their distinguishing features, their facial expressions. And if you want to go into detail, I would suggest you pause as I'm moving up down this paper so you can kind of see what is it that determines a character. Okay. Something else that's important is if it's a story like the one we're going to look at today, they're usually plot driven. And it's interesting that for one of the characters, Jonathan, it's sort of like a confrontation. He's having a problem where he has to overcome his fear, not confrontation with his friends, but a confrontation with himself, with the fear that he has. His friends feel like they're on an adventure, possibly a challenge, doing something that could be scary for some people. Then you can say, okay, let's take it one step further. What's their state of mind? What's their state of being? In here, well, we're going to find out that Jonathan's friends are very active and energetic in the way that they act in their personalities. If I take it one step further, well, if I look at their feelings and their emotions, I'm going to see one that fits the best, and I'm going to circle that one. So if every kid has one of these in their writing and reading folders or binders, you can highlight them and then they can circle based on this question. Oh, these kids are overjoyed and ecstatic. So what I did to help you with that is I also included your personality is sometimes expressed by your opinion. So there's a whole page of just opinion words. And these kids are feeling like this ride is pretty cool, pretty amazing. And so they might express that through some of these words. They're really liking and loving what they're doing. And then the last one is, well, almost the last one. If you're going to say that they're happy, that would be not very effective vocabulary. So what you might say is, you're going to use an emotion word, tell me with one of these higher vocabularies so that your word choices can be effective. What you might do is use my tell me, don't show me activity for every emotion under the sun, where you have happy and you can choose based on great ability some of those synonyms and they can write those in there. Then your students will have to never use the word happy again when they talk or write. So what I bought was a trash can, and you can see happy right there in the trash can. We're going to trash the off limit words so we can no longer use them. And throughout the year, you'll keep growing the words that you would decide are off limits. So the next step would be, what is it that people do and say and think, and um, how do they act and react? And so basically, the show don't tell. They could fill up the rest of that paper, this whole line, all these lines here, with the things that these characters are doing, and then they can also compare it to themselves. Okay. One last thing I want to make sure you understand is that whenever you're whenever you're doing a passage, you've got to decide which clues and evidence, which examples are the ones that they're asking about. Well, the question said, describe the personalities of Jonathan's friends. So if this is Jonathan over here, then we don't want any clues about Jonathan. We would want to use clues about his friends. And so since it would be paragraphs 8, 9, 10, and 11, if there's up to 6 people, then you have up to 6 colors to kind of color code what is the personality of each one. That way I can use those personalities to describe what kind of person that he is. Okay. So the next part that we would do, if you look at this word right here, is personality. So what is it that I can use to define a personality? And so this will be uh, just kind of introducing the question for you. In part B, I'll actually be showing you how to write it out in terms of the answer and the evidence. So for each person, singular, what is their ality? And that's kind of corny, but something cool about alities is everything ties together. Their personalities that I choose have to type, because the question asks about their personalities. I got to figure out how I can use those personalities to decide what their personalities are. And so some things you can think about, what is their attitude? Your attitude is probably your state of mind and being. What are their actions and reactions? How do they act because of their person and how they feel? The L is, what do they like or love? The I, what's in their head? There's the head right there in this person. What are their thoughts and their opinions about what's going on? Do those thoughts and opinions and attitudes and actions transition throughout the story, or do they stay the same? What's going on? I is inside my head, and this I is inside my heart. What I mean by that? Well, what are their emotions and feelings? And how do they tell those emotions through vocabulary or show them with actual actions or things that they might say, or their senses letting you see what they see? And so in the folder, on the bottom of the folder, if you've ever noticed it, the ones who have it, it has the word toes. And so it just helps you remember a lot of the toes things are up there. The saying is, don't judge a person till you've walked a mile in their shoes, and inside their shoes are their toes. And so on the bottom of the folder, inside their shoes are their toes. And so it's their voice, the spice of their writing. There's the character. And once you understand the question, you can begin to think about these things about their uh, what was the topic? Their personalities of Jonathan's friends. Truisms and theme, I don't need it because all you need to know is their character, their personalities. Their opinions and thoughts are inside their head. Their emotions that they tell or show are inside their heart. The senses, what do they let you see, hear, taste, touch, or smell? What are they saying to kind of show their personality? And whenever possible, what salsa can you use? Any higher vocabulary or figurative language? So what I've done is I looked at paragraphs 8 through 11 and I decided to let you see the characters because there are 5 characters. I made 5 heads, but because Dan and Chris are a compound subject, we'll be seeing when we look at the evidence in part B of this video, how are the personalities of Dan and Chris expressed? How are the compound subject, Dan and Chris? How are the personalities of Yvonne and Janine expressed through all of the alities part that I taught you? And Jessica is in a paragraph on her own. How is her palette? She's basically one person doing one thing. Why is Jonathan not here? The question didn't ask about Jonathan. So once I look at all the evidence about these characters in part B, I'll be able to write down that evidence and then decide, okay, based on this evidence, the first, where is the evidence and what is the evidence with or without quotations, then I'll be able to come back and decide what is the answer to the question that encompasses what's actually being shown. You can't place a personality into a character that's not expressed in the evidence. You can only base it on what's actually there. Trying to infer too much might be a compositional risk for your kids at this point. So keep in mind as we do before we do part B in our next video, what is the question? What is the answer? You'll see a prompt. But before we can do the answer, stop, red light, and go where they tell you, paragraphs 8 through 11, and then you can give me the GPS location of each part of your answer for each character, and then you can give me the evidence with or without quotations. Once you've done that, you'll be able to decide what the answer is to the question, and we'll show you that on part B. Go ahead and share or tag one of your teacher friends for this video. If you have any questions about trainings, either virtual or in person, I'd love to help you in your school. If you have a question about a strategy, my website's there. My Teachers Pay Teachers is just called The Right Prescription. Go there if you want. Remember that if you're a teacher who's had an actual training at your campus, You're allowed to go to my website and my Teachers Pay Teachers, and anything you see, you get for free. You get all my CREST trainings for free when you do a training. So make sure you email me if you have a question, or message me if you're watching this through Facebook. Email me if you don't have Facebook, if you're watching this through YouTube. And I just ask you to make sure, if you're watching this, go ahead and tag yourself, or write your name, or write something in the comment section, so that I'll go ahead and tag you once part 2 is out later on today. I just wanted to break it up into 2 sections so you wouldn't be overwhelmed. So that's a way to kind of teach the concept of uh, the answer plus the evidence, using some of the materials that I've come up with to help you as teachers. Take care and God bless.